All right, so welcome to another deep dive. And today, we're going to be looking at this concept of the third eye.
Yeah.
Not a literal eye, obviously, more of a
Right.
metaphorical one.
Yeah, exactly.
And our source today is really going deep into this whole idea of heightened awareness, intuition, and, spiritual insight.
Right.
And it's a pretty wild ride, this source. I mean, it's got a pretty unique style.
It does. It does. We'll just say that.
Yeah, it's very interesting.
Yeah. So we're here to unpack it all, but, grain of salt and all that, we're just exploring these ideas, not saying we endorse them or anything like
Yeah,
that.
I mean, it's fascinating how this source frames the third eye as something that's like actively awakened by, a higher power.
Yeah.
Even going so far as to talk about like chosen ones.
Oh, yeah.
This idea of being selected for, such a transformation is a pretty potent narrative, especially for those who are maybe seeking meaning or feeling a little disconnected from, the everyday world. Right, right. Now, this whole chosen one thing, that might raise some eyebrows.
Yeah, for sure.
And we'll definitely get into that later.
Yeah.
But for now, I think let's focus on some of the signs that the source outlines
Okay.
that supposedly point to third eye activation. And you might find some of these surprisingly familiar, even if you're, a total skeptic
Right.
at heart.
Well, the first sign the source highlights is this shift in perception.
Okay.
It's about noticing like patterns that other people miss.
Oh, interesting.
Feeling drawn to specific things without like a logical reason, almost like the universe is sending you like personalized messages,
Oh, wow.
you know?
Yeah, they even use the example of like repeatedly seeing certain number sequences.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Like 11.11 or
Yeah.
4.44, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, I've definitely experienced that.
Yeah, I think a lot of people have.
Yeah, yeah. And the source suggests that this isn't just some coincidence,
Right.
but like a deliberate sign that you're meant for something more.
That's interesting. And this kind of ties into the second sign, which is heightened intuition.
Okay.
It's those gut feelings that like turn out to be right or knowing things you seemingly shouldn't.
Right.
Have you ever had like a decision that defied logic but ended up leading to something great? Or a sense of knowing about someone that later proved accurate?
Oh, for sure.
The source argues that with this third eye activation, this intuitive sense just becomes even stronger, like a direct line to your inner wisdom.
It's fascinating, this idea of intuition as this direct line to inner wisdom. But what really caught my attention is how the source connects it to the realm of dreams.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, like vivid, meaningful dreams, even prophetic or lucid ones.
Wow.
Where you're aware that you're dreaming.
Right.
The source suggests that these aren't just random firings of your brain, but messages from a higher realm.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Well, and to make sense of these messages, the source offers a really practical tip.
Okay.
Write down your dreams. Even if they seem nonsensical at first,
Yeah,
patterns or insights might emerge over time.
that's true.
You never know what your subconscious is trying to tell you.
Yeah.
It's like having this direct line to a part of yourself you might not be consciously aware of.
Now, this next sign might resonate with those who are already, like, a bit sensitive to their surroundings. The source calls it sensitivity to energy.
Okay.
That feeling of, you walk into a room and you instantly sense the vibe,
Yeah.
or you're picking up on people's emotions before they even say a word.
Right, right.
For some, this can feel, like, completely overwhelming.
Absolutely. And the source acknowledges that,
Right.
but it frames this sensitivity as a potential strength, like becoming attuned to a deeper level of reality.
Okay.
Like you're suddenly aware of this whole spectrum of information that was always there just below the surface.
Wow.
Of course, with this heightened sensitivity comes the need for, self-care and energetic boundaries.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. And finally, we arrive at a sign that seems almost paradoxical, considering the intensity of, all the other ones we just talked about. And that's inner peace. The source suggests that amidst all these changes and potential overwhelm,
Yeah.
there's this sense of calm knowing that everything is unfolding as it should.
That is interesting. It's interesting how this contrasts with the often like chaotic awakening narratives we hear about, right?
Yeah.
A lot of stories focus on the upheaval and disorientation of spiritual awakening.
Right.
But here, there's this underlying sense of trust in the process, a surrender to a larger plan.
Well, the source doesn't just leave us with these signs. It
Yeah.
goes on to actually discuss what it means to live with an activated third eye.
Okay.
And this is where things get, I think, really interesting. Instead of encouraging, some kind of escape from everyday life, the Source emphasizes integration, bringing this heightened awareness into your daily routine.
Right.
Your relationships, your work.
It's not about suddenly becoming a hermit, like meditating on a mountaintop. Right. It's about applying this new perspective to the world around you.
Yeah, and to help with that, the Source suggests things like, meditation, journaling, spending time in nature.
Right.
But here's the key. It stresses following your intuition to find what works best for you.
Absolutely.
It's all about personal exploration
Yeah.
and listening to that inner voice.
Right.
But speaking of inner voices, the Source doesn't shy away from the more challenging aspects of this journey.
Oh, okay.
It acknowledges that the third eye can reveal uncomfortable truths about yourself, what they call facing the shadows.
Right.
Which, makes sense, right? If you're suddenly seeing the world in this whole new light,
Yeah.
it stands to reason you might start to see things within yourself that you haven't really fully confronted before.
Right. And facing those shadows, that can be difficult.
Yeah.
But the Source frames it as part of growth.
Okay.
Like it's essential for real transformation. It's about acknowledging the entirety of your being, the light and the shadow, and integrating them into a whole authentic self.
And to balance that inward focus, they also emphasize the importance of staying grounded, not just in the spiritual sense, but also by taking care of your physical body through mindful movement and, healthy practices, which honestly, that's good advice for everyone, regardless of their beliefs about the third eye or not.
Absolutely. It brings it back down to earth. This isn't just about some abstract spiritual pursuit.
Right.
It's about enhancing your overall well-being and living a more fulfilling life. And that brings us to, I think, a pivotal point in the source material.
Yeah.
This concept of the chosen one and their supposed responsibility to humanity.
Okay. Now, this is where we dive into some pretty heady territory.
Yeah.
And remember, we're presenting this information neutrally. We're not endorsing it.
Right.
But it's important to understand how the source frames this idea. And this is where we'll pick things up in part 2.
Okay, sounds good. So welcome back.
Yeah.
We're about to explore, the implications of living as this so-called chosen one.
Right.
According to, our source material.
Yeah. And as we sort of hinted at before the break, this source really doesn't sugarcoat the challenges that come with having your third eye cracked open, so to speak.
Right.
It's not all, blissful enlightenment.
It paints this picture of, real upheaval and transformation.
Yeah.
It's fascinating. It's kind of a paradox, right?
Yeah.
On the one hand, you have this talk of heightened awareness and connection to the divine.
Right.
But on the other hand, this source really emphasizes that this path isn't about escaping the world.
Right.
Floating off into some blissful state of detachment.
Right. Yeah. It explicitly states that being a chosen one means embracing your truth, even when it's difficult, and living in alignment with your soul, even when it disrupts, your comfortable life.
Right. Yeah.
You might find yourself questioning everything you've been taught.
Oh, yeah.
Challenging societal norms.
Absolutely.
And even disrupting relationships with people who aren't on the same wavelength as you.
Yeah, it's almost like, that classic hero's journey. Right?
Yeah.
You get this call to adventure. But it means leaving your comfort zone behind.
Right.
And facing all these trials and tribulations.
Yeah.
And in this case, the trials might be, confronting uncomfortable truths about yourself.
Yeah.
Facing resistance from others who don't understand your transformation.
Right.
Feeling the sense of isolation as you navigate this, unfamiliar terrain.
That sounds pretty daunting, to be honest.
Yeah, it can be.
Is there any kind of support system
That's a great question.
for people going through this?
And thankfully, the source does offer some hope
Okay.
amidst all this potential turmoil.
Okay.
One of the things it emphasizes is that you're not alone on this journey. It talks about this global awakening that's happening.
Yeah.
With more and more people starting to question the status quo
Right.
and seek a deeper truth.
So it's not about being a lone wolf on some mystical quest.
No, not at all.
Okay.
The source suggests seeking out, like-minded individuals,
Right.
forming a community of support with people who understand and encourage your growth.
Right, strength in numbers.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Strength in numbers applied to spiritual awakening.
Yeah.
Even if you don't, buy into the whole chosen one thing.
Right.
the experience of questioning your beliefs
Yeah.
and seeking a deeper understanding of yourself,
Right.
that can be incredibly isolating if you don't have people to talk to who get it.
I mean, having a supportive community can make all the difference, right?
Absolutely.
In navigating those moments of doubt and uncertainty, it gives you that safe space to process your experiences,
Right.
find validation for what you're going through.
Yeah, for sure.
But beyond finding your tribe, right?
Yeah.
The Source also dives into this concept of finding your unique purpose.
Right.
As a chosen one.
Yes. It's not enough to simply awaken to this, like, higher awareness.
Right.
You're supposed to use it to serve humanity in some way.
Okay.
The Source offers, like, a few examples.
Mm-hmm.
Being a healer, a teacher.
Right.
Or even just, a presence of love in the world.
Wow.
But the emphasis is really on finding your unique way to contribute.
Okay.
Based on your individual strengths and passions.
It sounds a bit like a cosmic calling, almost
Right.
tailored specifically to you.
Yeah.
But how do you even, begin to figure out what that purpose is?
The Source acknowledges that it can be daunting, for sure.
Right.
There's this element of, surrendering to the unknown.
Okay.
Trusting that the universe or, some higher power is guiding you toward your destiny.
I mean, that can be a scary thought for a lot of people.
Yeah, it can be.
Most of us like to have at least some semblance of control over our lives.
Yeah, exactly.
But the Source almost seems to frame this surrender as a form of liberation. Like opening yourself up to possibilities you could never have imagined on your own.
Precisely. It's about letting go of the ego's need to plan and control.
Right.
And allowing yourself to be guided by something larger than yourself.
Okay.
Whether you believe that guiding force is, a divine being,
Right.
universal consciousness,
Mm-hmm.
or simply your own intuition, that's up to you.
Right.
The core message is the same.
Mm-hmm.
Trust the process.
Okay.
Follow your heart.
Mm-hmm.
And don't be afraid to step into the unknown.
Yeah.
Because that's where the real magic happens.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
But with all this talk about surrendering to the unknown and, embracing your destiny, it's easy to get lost in the clouds, right?
Yeah, for sure.
How does the Source kind of address the practical side of things?
It brings us right back down to earth.
Okay.
By stressing the importance of staying grounded. Amidst all this, spiritual exploration, it specifically recommends practices like, mindful movement, yoga, spending time in nature,
Right.
anything that helps you feel rooted in your physical reality.
Right.
It's about finding that balance
Right.
between the spiritual and the material, the inner and the outer.
Which, again, great advice for everyone.
Absolutely.
Whether or not you believe you're chosen one on some, divine mission.
Yeah, totally.
Taking care of your physical well-being is essential for overall health and happiness.
Right.
And it can help you stay grounded when things get a little too woo-woo.
Yeah, I like that.
So where do we go from here?
Well, as we delve deeper into the practicalities, of living with a supposedly activated third eye, the Source offers a series of, reminders.
Okay.
Almost like guiding principles for this journey.
All right.
And some of them might sound a bit, mystical. There's a lot of wisdom to be found
Okay.
in these final takeaways.
All right. So that's where we'll pick things up
Yeah.
when we return
Because
for the final part of this deep dive.
All right, so welcome back to the final part of our deep dive.
Yeah.
Into this intriguing and often perplexing world
Right.
of third eye activation.
For sure.
I mean, we've covered a lot of ground here.
Yeah, we have.
From the supposed signs of this awakening to, the challenges and responsibilities that come with being this so-called chosen one.
Right. A lot to unpack.
Yeah, it's been quite a journey
It has.
through this unique source material.
Yeah, for sure.
We encountered mystical concepts, thought-provoking questions,
Right.
and some surprisingly practical advice
Absolutely.
along the way.
Yeah.
And now in this final segment,
Okay.
we're going to touch on some of the concluding thoughts from our source before we offer our own perspective.
On what we've uncovered in this deep dive. So what's the final word?
Well, the source kind of wraps up with this really powerful message about legacy.
Okay.
Asking what mark will you leave on the world? It shifts the focus from personal awakening to this collective impact.
Interesting.
Reminding us that our actions have these ripple effects
Right.
that extend far beyond our own lives.
So it's not just about like individual transformation then.
Right. Exactly.
It's about how we use that transformation to benefit others.
Yeah, the source suggests that those with, activated third eyes have this heightened responsibility to be mindful of their impact, using their awareness and compassion to contribute to, a more positive and loving world.
That makes me think of the butterfly effect.
Oh, yeah.
Where, one small action can have these far-reaching consequences.
Absolutely.
But before we get too caught up in this idea of cosmic responsibility, I think it's important to kind of step back here and offer our own perspectives
good point.
on this whole third eye business.
I agree. Listener, as we wrap up this deep dive, remember to take everything you've heard with a grain of salt.
Yeah, don't take everything literally.
Right.
Not everyone who experiences, heightened intuition or vivid dreams is necessarily having their third eye activated by some divine force.
Right.
I mean, there are other explanations for these experiences.
Absolutely.
And it's important to consider those as well.
Yeah, for sure.
And even if you, do resonate with the spiritual interpretations, just be wary of anyone who claims to have all the answers or, offering quick fixes for spiritual awakening.
Oh, yeah, totally.
This is a deeply personal journey, and it's really up to each individual to find their own path.
Couldn't agree more.
Yeah.
Trust your own intuition, do your own research, and approach this topic with, a healthy dose of skepticism. It's about finding what resonates with you, what feels authentic to your own experience.
Yeah.
Having said that, though, there's something to be said for that core message of this source, that we all have the potential to tap into this deeper level of awareness, connect with our inner wisdom, and use that awareness to create positive change.
I agree. Whether you call it, the third eye, intuition, or simply a heightened sense of empathy and compassion, we humans have this incredible capacity for growth, transformation,
absolutely,
and connection to something larger than ourselves.
I think that's ultimately what this deep dive has been about, right?
Yeah.
Exploring the potential that lies within each of us, regardless of our beliefs or spiritual inclinations.
Well said. So, as we close out this episode, we'll leave you with one final thought-provoking question.
Okay, shoot.
If you could see the world through a different lens, with this heightened awareness and a deeper understanding of yourself and others, what would you do differently? How would you use that vision to benefit yourself and the world around you?
It's something to ponder, to explore, to experiment with.
Right.
And who knows, maybe in the process, you'll uncover some hidden power within yourself that you never even knew existed.
I like that. Well, thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
On this deep dive into the mystical world of the third eye.
Always a pleasure.
Until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning,
absolutely,
and keep diving deep into the mysteries of the universe,
right,
both within and around you.